Good morning and welcome once again to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman Bergeron. It's always a pleasure to be with you. My apologies for missing last week. However, not feeling well, I decided to not be here. And I always miss this because it's been a part of my life for several years right now, and I enjoy the process of asking my guides, what do I need to talk about? What would be something that the world needs to hear from a different perspective? And that's been my gift of being able to see things uh, uniquely from a place of having died and coming back. And so I'm not attached to the standard teachings of society and education, et cetera, and governments that wish to rule us. And yesterday I hosted the Global Heart Team, which is sort of a semi-private collection of people who show up, and we send love to the world. And it was a powerful day, and I didn't want to repeat that talk today. However, it's all about love. Everything we do right now is about love. And I can't say that enough or express it enough, because that's the energy that is going to change the future and be a part of the future generations that hasn't been in pretty much these several past generations. Love has become, in many levels, a commodity, if you will. And I don't like saying that, believe me. Good morning, Steve. Pleasure to see you here. So today's talk is clearing a new path. And when I asked for guidance as to what needs to be listened to within me and where am I always reflected wherever I am, there are others. Even if I don't know who they are or where they are, that I try to express to everybody that we are never alone. Never alone. We may feel lonely. We may feel isolated. We may feel like we're not heard or recognized for values that we have to offer to the world, but we are never alone. Good morning, Evelyn. Love to you as well, dear. The reality of so many things that is appearing now is, in many ways, unfortunately, negative. And many people feel hopeless as a result that they don't feel that they have any power. They don't feel like they have any ability to change things. But here in the United States, we had this, I'm going to say it, a crazy election, a midterm election, where there was a field of energy created to oppose each other. I can't see any value in that. I can't see the amount of money that was spent for that and the outcome, no matter how much money they put into it, came from the hearts of the people. not the money. And that was a positive message. Good morning, Terry. Good. That was a message to me to say that there is hope. There is hope in a world that right now is fluctuating, if you will. It's out of balance and it's bouncing around. And that's a sort of a dangerous place to be for all of us. So today's topic is clearing a new path, is how do we as individuals and a collective humanity move forward out of this. This will certainly not be the last hurrah of this kind of activity, but it's a starting point for a new way of looking at life and how it could be better for our future generations, as well as ourselves. It's really the first line that came was, there is always a path to the future that is calling to be created. Okay? So, what does that mean? If we look at the history of humanity on planet Earth, and I'm not talking about biblical stories, I'm not talking about scientific verification here, I'm just looking at humanity, a group of beings living together, creating together, much like everything else in nature, and moving through challenges that were unbelievable to us right now. If we were put into that same original position, many of us would not survive because we no longer remember the skills that were needed to live back then. Excuse me. We live in a completely differently oriented planet Earth. Planet Earth didn't change that much, although it has. It's changed, many ways. The lands have moved, the waters, the things. But what is really striking me here is we're at another point of evolution. And it's not so much the evolution of planet Earth, it's the evolution of humanity. And when we choose to evolve, yes, we have a choice. Then we have to come together. It's not, well, we're going to evolve and you're not. We evolve together, one humanity. Our ancestors were tribal. Our ancestors lived scattered around the planet. They didn't know each other, didn't connect with each other. And when they did, they felt threatened. Just like a pack of wolves or a pack of deer or whatever. When they're encountered by another group, they become defensive. They don't think about being defensive. It's just an autonomic process. They feel unsafe. They feel invaded, just like us. Just like us. We're not that different from the animals, except that we have a brain that can discern and create life experiences outside of the original blueprint of survival. My guide speaking. And it begins in our heart. We've been taught it's all about the brain. We have been told that it's in the brain. The brain remembers and organizes and gathers the information And it's like I continue to say, it's like these computers. They are a brain. They hold all that information in little pockets and packages. Well, that's what our brain does. Very similar, except it's done it with neurons and blood flow and etc. It's a whole different format. The key is that right now for us, we're carrying with us a memory, just like your computer does, a memory that no longer serves us. It's a memory that we needed years ago to survive. Just like we now run computers on new systems. Well, the old system, if you were to put, an old computer system in these new computers, it wouldn't work. And I use this analogy because most of my time is spent on computers now. I never planned that, but that's how we communicate. So when our communication system changes, our brains have to adapt to that. Okay? And if we're being fed information that is creating distortion in the brain, it may be perfectly all wonderful in the computer, but when it hits our brain, then it creates a confusion. We become scattered. I look at it as scattered thinking. And we're easily manipulated by the machine. None of this is in my show notes, but I feel it's a lead into what I'm going to say. So the evolution of humanity is always a challenge of moving forward. Okay? And moving forward most of the time without a path to follow. And when that happens, we are not guided by the brain anymore. We are guided by the heart. The heart's inner wisdom. The heart knows what it needs in order to keep us alive, as if it had an intelligence system of its own. Maybe it does. I don't study that deep enough to go there. However, it's the organ that sends the signals to the brain to come to life. It's the system that sends everything to all our other systems that keep saying and allowing them to keep going. Okay, so if we look, it's not the brain that keeps me alive, it's the heart that keeps me alive. It's not new news, it's always been known. We've just become infatuated with the brain and told that the brain is the power within us. It is a power source. It allows us to discern right from wrong, up from down. But it's really more of a tool than who we are. Who we are is right here in our heart. And what we do with the energy of our heart determines whether the world around us is peaceful or not. It's not the brain that does it. The brain has the last call on it, but it's in our hearts. What's happened over thousands of years, the energies of life have conformed to the attractor field of the brain and left the heart. And the heart has been recognized just as an organ, like your kidneys or your liver or your left hand. It's not been given the full respect and the, how do I want to call it, the acknowledgement of the wisdom of the heart. And that is deep within. It's not in the physical heart. When I look at the heart, I see it as a gateway to all that exists, a gateway to that which we call God. It's not my brain that does that. My brain is analyzing, but it's the heart. This is the source of our being, our coming together in peace, in light, and in love. So, as you all shine here this morning, good morning, Linda. This is a reality that we don't think about because we're busy. And so the challenge of moving forward is to be guided by our heart, by our heart's inner wisdom, rather than just to be always in the motion of thinking. And the wisdom of the heart, in order to hear that, we need to be more quiet and we need to listen. And what we're listening for is not words, it's listening for a feeling. How do you listen for a feeling? That sounds totally insane. Yet, but when you're comfortable, there's a feeling. When you're angry, there's a feeling. When you're sad, there's a feeling. When the heart is in resonance, which is now coming to surface, and more people are talking about heart resonance and understanding it and trying to find it. When it is in resonance, there's a peace and an understanding and an acceptance of life and what we're here that is beyond words. It can't really be taught. We can only teach how to get there. And it becomes the teacher. And this has existed throughout all humanity. Right now is a time where we need to come deeper into our hearts and listen to what our hearts are saying. And it may not be verbal, it may not be words, but you'll know. You'll know that your path that you are now creating is either in alignment with your heart or not. Don't worry about the head's in alignment. The head's going to fluctuate. The brain is going to fluctuate because that's what it's designed to do. It's supposed to go positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. It's an electric field based on a neural network. I've had brain fog for 3 years. At first, it was a curse. Now I look at it as an amazing process that hasn't stopped me. It's just a process that is not working in proper alignment. It isn't me that doesn't remember. It's there. It just can't access all of the channels to bring it to my being able to speak about it. That's all. Everything is there. All of the trauma, all of the good news, it's all there. It didn't go away. It's stored exactly where it was stored. I just no longer have a, how do I say this, a cohesive connection to it. And I can laugh now when I don't remember something. And I can say, maybe I'm not supposed to remember it. And I hope I had a good time. This is evolution. We may not like it, but this is evolution. Evolution is moving out of a previous paradigm into a new one. Humanity has to evolve because the universe is evolving. Our heart is calling us. It's calling us to listen to much more than hearing its pulsing. It's awakening us to become more aware of the egoic self that continually exaggerates every viewpoint that we have followed with very little questioning of it. The old story about the sheep, you can lead the sheep till they fall off the cliff. That's the brain. It has the capability of discerning and choosing to turn around or not go. But as a collective, the brain is like the sheep. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory manner, it's just the way that it works. And so humanity has played on that for thousands of years. They know that humans are like sheep and can be led. And so we've created governments who have taken that, or we have given away our power and used them as they are being our voices to do what's right for us. We've put our trust in them. And then gone back to the playground to play. And in the meantime, they've grown out of control because they became so embodied with power and power over others people's lives and the planet that they no longer have a respect for themselves or anyone else. They want what they want, and right now it's all about greed, who can do it first, who can get the most money for it. Is because everything's become a commodity, including humans. And I don't like saying that. When I read that water was becoming a commodity, I knew in that moment that we have become a commodity as well. That may sound totally preposterous, but we are water. We can't separate water. We can go to all of these planets. What are we looking for? We're looking for water because we can't live there if we don't have water. So the reality of all of what we're going through right now is a transition from an old paradigm and way of seeing life back into a more harmonious paradigm. The chaos of this paradigm has reached its peak where it can no longer, how do I want to say this? My guides are saying, no longer speak with other dimensions. It has created a singularity. It no longer wants to be a part of the whole. When you look at all of the satellites that are flying around this planet Earth, well, we're not talking about 100, we're talking thousands, thousands and thousands of satellites. I'm wondering how they can send up, I mean, fortunately, it's bigger than I could think. They can send any more up there. I have a little program on my phone to see the stars, and it shows the satellites. There's more satellites than stars. It's like a junkyard out there. It's like a floating junkyard. Because I don't know how many of those work. I don't know how many of those don't work. I'm not saying we don't need them, but these are all driven by greed. These are for profit. And the cost, if you look at the cost of putting all of those into the sky, we could stop hunger in the world. Literally. The amount of money that they've spent to do that could solve hunger in the world. So what we're recognizing now is that the goals of our leaders are not really focused on humanity as a whole. And it's time we start on a new path of thinking as individuals, because we are the individuals that will make up the new world's government, the new world that is inviting the children of the future to be able to live without hunger, without suffering, in a harmonic balance, and let go of the tribal brain, which was needed hundreds and thousands of years ago. But it's no longer needed. It no longer is sufficient. Doesn't mean that the practices and the teachings are worthless. They are precious. They are precious gems. But they're not just mine. They're not just yours. They need to be respected by everybody, but we don't own them. Nobody owns the rites and the rituals. That's like owning your brain. Many people say to me, "You're not doing that ceremony correct." In my teachings, and I look at them, if I say, if I listen to your teachings, then I'm no longer doing this ritual by their teachings, because their teachings say something different. And my intention of doing a ceremony is not about either one of you. It's about my connection to the planet. It's about my connection to that which I call Supreme Creator. All of us are doing that. So let's stop the bickering. Let's join in the energy that we are expressing love, gratitude, appreciation, divine guidance to better all of our relationship with each other and our ability to live on planet Earth in harmony and balance. I say this as it sounds like a lecture to me as I'm saying it. I don't mean it to be, but then that's who I be. And so that's what our heart is asking us to do. Come home. You've been in the brain too long. You need to come back home. You need to reorganize your thinking based on the longevity of humanity. Mother Earth will survive all of us. But will we survive the damage that we are creating to Mother Earth? So this new path begins in our hearts, not our minds. And the first step is to decide what can we take with us on this adventure? And what do we let go of? We're following a sound wave of our heartbeat. We're letting go of the ego self. What parts of those do we need, and what parts of those do we not need that will become a burden as we start this new path? And seriously, think about that. Look at what you can let go of, what no longer serves you. Maybe that's what asteroids are. They're the parts of planets and star systems that were necessary. They didn't need them. They got rid of them, and now they're floating around in space. Doesn't mean they don't have some value, but they no longer have a value to us as human beings and all living objects, beings in whatever form on planet Earth. Let's stop the destruction. Let's start the reconstruction. Let's gather together and say, how can I help you? Not what can I get from you? What do you have that I want? A new path. And each one of us are being called to do it. Because we're not separated from the environment. We are as much a part of the environment as the wind, as the rain, as the fire, as the air, as the elements. I was reminded before I, get too lengthy and too long, that our human experience is not separate from the environment we live in. Isolating ourselves from the environment like we did in this past pandemic has caused more problems to humanity than saving them from death by COVID. And I say that because I see it right now. It created an opportunity for opportunists to direct millions of people simultaneously. Never before in the history of humanity have as many individual humans been controlled simultaneously at the same time. And what that does to the ego mind of the leaders of the world, it makes them feel like gods. Literally. They're no longer leaders. They won't say this, they won't admit to this, but they have the power over humanity that has never been done like this before. And I don't say this to frighten people. I just ask you to look inside yourself, and where is your freedom inside? I want you to come back to a place of freedom within your own heart, to make a choice and to live by it without fear of being murdered or not having food to eat. We need to come back to co-creation. And co-creation is based on all of us being able to communicate with each other, both in person and through networking. Find organizations that support returning Mother Earth to her, what I will call divine presence. Because our future generations will not survive if it isn't. And there is no planet out there that is going to be planet Earth, no matter what technology or what gifts of wisdom we think we have. I was reminded in closing, I just want to remind you that, it's funny how things pop up. And as I was finishing my notes, it was like I was reminded of the song Teach Your Children from Crosby, Stills and Nash. Goes back to 1970. I was 21. I had a 3-year-old daughter. I missed being drafted, fortunately, into a war that nobody wanted to be at, and they were forced into. And to this day, I still can't figure out what it was all about. However, I don't see much in any of that. And here's the lyrics that I want to read to you. So this was written by Graham Nash of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. For those of you who are old enough to remember or have listened to that music and enjoyed it, because it was about being abused and guided into wrong directions and freedom taken away from us. And it's, 70 years later, whatever it is, here we are, 60 years, 50 years, whatever. You who are on the road, this is the first stanza. You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by. and so become yourself. Because the past is just a goodbye. As we begin to undertake this new path that we are co-creating, not my path, your path, it's our path. It's the path of our children and our children's children and their children, at least for 7 more generations to straighten this out. We've gone too far. We can't go back. We have to move forward. But in that moving forward, let's come together. Let's come together in spite of the dark sky. And let's get rid of the power, the greed, the treacherous behavior of leaders. And let us become one with each other. Make that the goal of humanity, to come back into one tribe. Although we've never been one tribe, but come into being one tribe. We can all have different teachings, different languages, different beliefs, but being human on planet Earth isn't about that. It's about being in synchronicity with the planet that we live on, in harmonic balance. Mother Earth is not our slave. And each of us are still the many who are here to help guide the future generations to a new path based on peace, light, and love, rather than narcissism, pathology, and destruction. Powerful words. Bless you all as you begin your new path. Know that it isn't so much as to when you begin the new path or how you do it, but come to a place within your heart that says, I no longer want to continue on this path, because this path is leading to destruction. I no longer want to be a part or a victim of destruction. I want my children and my children's children and everybody else's children to have a safe place and freedom to be the great gifts to Mother Earth that they are. Bless you all. Be the great gift that you are, is really all I'm asking you. Think about it. Don't jump right in and try to fix everything. Everything will rearrange in due time. The first step is honoring the brain for what it is, honoring the mind for its ability to pick and choose, but listen to your heart. Listen closely. It's your heart that is connected to the heart of Mother Earth. It's the heart of Mother Earth that is connected to the heart of our sun. Our sun is a star whose heart is connected to other stars. And it goes on and on and on. And you can see it all in sacred geometry. The blueprint of everything that is. Love you. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity. One love. One heart. Forever. Bless you, brothers and sisters. Keep smiling. It's a sunny day here on the southwest coast of Maine. And enjoy. Be in joy, not just enjoy. Be in joy. And know that when stuff comes up to be released, pause. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. The key is don't make it a tool or a weapon against others. Deal with it in your heart and release it. We no longer need to take this down the path with us. See you next week or somewhere on the internet. Bless you all. And yeah, think about a new path. Love you.